Okay, hello YouTube. I am Jenn Herman with Jen's Trends, and tonight we're talking about how social media pods work. Do they work? Why do they work? When do they not work? All of that, including what they are. So if you don't know what a social media pod is, you're going to learn all about it. I'm going to warn you right now that this may turn into a rant. It's entirely possible. This is a topic that I get really fired up about, so you may want to put in the headphones or make sure that there are no coworkers, young children around, because you don't really know how this episode could go down. It could get pretty colorful. When I get animated about these topics, the language tends to become a little bit less safe for work. So by all means, put in those headphones or turn that volume down. And get ready, buckle in, because it's going to be a good one. I'm going to get everything launched over here on Instagram. As a reminder, for those of you who watch the show regularly, you know how this works. I'm going to launch it over on Instagram. I'm simulcasting to both at the same time and engaging with more of the comments that come in over on Instagram. But you may want to jump ahead in this video if you're not watching it live with me. You want to go in at least probably 5 minutes into the video. By the time I get everything launched on Instagram, say hi to everybody. We'll dive into the topic at hand at least 5 minutes into the video. Evie is here live and said, yay, at least YouTube gave her notifications. I haven't gone live yet on Instagram, so don't blame the Instagram failure just yet, although sometimes Instagram neglects to tell people that we got live. But yes, so if you're watching the replay, go ahead and jump ahead 5 minutes. If you want to skip all the banter, some of the banter is the most fun. Last time I recorded the video, I had this amazing new experience that you could actually add titles to Instagram videos, and I didn't discover that until I went live, and it was in the intro of last YouTube video. And so everyone who watched that got to watch my excitement like a little kid on Christmas. It was amazing. And you would have missed that if you jumped ahead. So you may want to stick around. It's entirely up to you. And if at any point you are going through this video and you find this information valuable, you like what I'm sharing with you, by all means, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you do get notifications like Evie that I have gone live, and you won't miss any shows in the future. So bear with me as I get my life set up over here in the world of Instagram. Always trying to do all the things, and it's not always the easiest thing in the world. Got the crazy hair going. Woo. I'm gonna need to get my hair dyed. I'm not even joking. All right, so we are going to get this started. We are right at 4:30. Let's do, oh, nope, cancel. Here we go. Add a title. So, bear with me, you guys. This is why sometimes you want to jump ahead. You might want to jump through this part. How social media pods work. Done. Okay, now we're going to go live. Hello. We are live here on Instagram and simulcasting over on YouTube. I have a couple people watching over on YouTube right now. We got Radio Dawn over there as well on YouTube. Hello. For those of you tuning in over here on Instagram, hello, Sarah. Good to see you. Ask Evie is in all the places. I love it. Toronto Dog Walking. Hey, Pam. Good to see you. Robin V. Artist is here. Whitney Stones. Supatak. Blumgrenke. Hello, everybody. It is so good to see you. Tonight, we are talking about social media pods. I've already warned YouTubers, but I'm going to warn the Instagram universe. You might want to put in the headphones. You might want to make sure that the young children or coworkers are not in the general vicinity of this video. This is a topic, as Ken Watson just showed up, knows I get very passionate about this topic. So it could get colorful. I tend to get very animated during these types of conversations and going through all of the content. So by all means, put in those headphones, turn down the volume if there's people around, but be ready because it's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a good recap for those of you who don't know what social media pods are. We're talking all about them, what they are, how they work, do they work, when you should or should not use them, alternatives, that sort of thing. It's going to be a really good show. And yes, I'm going to be passionate about it because this is a topic you guys have probably seen a time or two. I get really passionate. This is probably the best word. Really fired up about this topic. Whitney Stones 007 said, hello, I love you and you're doing a really good job. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Toronto Dog Walking said, Jen plus Rants equals my fave. Ask Evie said, you passionate? Never. So true. Monica D. Fanso has joined us as well. SF Hilltop Stay. One button Jen rant coming up in 3, 2, 1. And it is pretty much about to happen. It's about to go down, you guys. I'm so excited. I'm just going to fix my camera angle just a little bit so I don't have as much text over my face. Trying to make all the things work in life. It's not always easy. And we got One Marketing Idea Social has joined us as well. Kim Watson said, hashtag Jen triggered. Yep, triggered that one. Art and Soul Events has joined us as well as Kim's Hawkins, or Kim Shawkins is here as well, and Shay Gamble. So thank you all. Thank you for those of you who are over here on YouTube watching as well. Excited to have you here, and everybody who's watching here over on Instagram. And for anybody who's catching this on the replays, thank you for being here as well. You know that I love when you guys are here live, but I love my replay viewers just as much. And you guys can always send me DMs and questions following up on any of this. But for those of you who are here live, I want this to be an active, engaged conversation. Yes, it's a rant. It may take me a little while to get through that train of thought and come back to all the comments. But by all means, please chime in. We're talking about social media pods, not just Instagram pods, but pods across all platforms. They kind of gained popularity in the Instagram world, but we're going to talk about them across social media. And if you have positive or negative experiences, I want this to be open dialogue. Please share those with me as well. We've got Family Snack Nutritionist. Hello. Oh my gosh. Good to see you here as well. Lori Klassen has just joined us. Hey girl, see you soon. I can't wait. On that note, social media marketing world, 2 weeks. WTF, mama is not ready. Not even close. I literally do not know what I'm going to wear. I have not picked out my shoes. I have shoes I want to wear. I just don't know which ones I'm going to wear on stage. And I have no idea what I'm going to wear as my outfit when I speak on Friday at Social Media Marketing World. My world is about to collapse around me because I literally have not picked out anything to wear. I'm like, I might need to go shopping this weekend. Like, not even joking. I don't know what's going to happen. Ask Evie said, if some right, I think pods can be great, but 99% are just crap. Agreed. Toronto Dog Monkey said they're freaking everywhere. They are everywhere. Bree Palmer is here. Hey, girl. Hey. Marianne Nielsen is here as well. Evie said her shoes are ready. Swag is ready. Clothes still need to be finalized. SF Hilltop Say said, pods suck. Not everyone plays along. Also, do I really want to be associated with some weird profile I don't agree with? That is a great point that we are definitely going to touch on. Family Snack Nutritionist said, take me shopping. I'm going to be in Carmel Mountain probably this weekend. Not even joking. I'm going to hit up like Off Saks. What else do we have? There's Off Saks over there. There's obviously the Ross TJ Maxx. We have a couple other ones over there, like all the kind of high end, like the Off Saks and Off Fifth and all those. So definitely going to be hitting up some shopping this weekend because I got to figure out what I'm going to wear. And I have no idea. And it's always a last minute thing. And then I always end up being happy with it. But right now I'm kind of stressed out about it, you guys. Kim Watson said he needs to get his hair did for Social Media Marketing World 19. My hair's getting did too. I'm not going to look like this. It's going to be different, hopefully by next week, because Mama's got to cover up all this action going on up here. These Wing Loft has joined us as well. Lori Klassen said, oh my gosh, get on that, girl. I know. I really got to get on it. Social Mint Agency has joined us. Hello. Good to see you as well. Mike said, so the risk of being ignorant when in the room, what is a pod? Sorry if you already went over this. I did not. We got distracted talking about Social Media Marketing World and outfits. The first thing we're going to do as soon as I get started here in about a minute is explain what a pod is and how they work. So you all have a baseline of understanding of what we're talking about. So not an ignorant question at all. You are not the ignorant one. I've had this conversation multiple times and people don't know what a pod is. So we're totally going to talk about that and make sure you really understand it. Tanya Smith Online has just joined us, and Family Snack Nutrition just asked the same thing. What is a pod? And yeah, I'll totally go shopping. I need jeans that don't have holes. Toddler life. I get you, girl. Okay, so let's dive right in, you guys, because we could talk social media marketing world and fashion all day long. But we're going to talk about pods and social media pods. And as Mike just said, as long as it's not a Tide pod. And I always feel like I have to like make that joke because I'm like, no, we're not talking Tide pods. It's a whole thing that really did evolve. So these pods first started really more on Facebook, but they didn't have that name. They weren't called pods. They were just kind of these like underground groups that people were using. Then Instagram introduced the algorithm a couple years back, 3 years ago now, I think it's been. And people started looking for ways to combat the algorithm. And this whole concept of pods evolved in the Instagram space. So I don't know if there's a formal definition. You could probably Google it and find out what the official definition is. But basically, a pod is a small group. In the Instagram world, when direct messages were limited to 15 people, a pod was 15 people. You'd usually have 15 people via a direct message group that would basically like and comment on each other's content. So that pod of people were engagement advocates for each other, basically. So if I was in a pod with 14 other people, when I posted something on Instagram, I would say, hey, just posted, go at it. And all 14 people are obligated, and this is where pods get complicated. Those 14 people are obligated to log in immediately as soon as possible and go over to my piece of content, like it, and leave a comment, usually of more than 3 words. Don't get me started on the 3-word thing. I'll explain everything. So what you would have to do, you're in a pod, you send a message, everyone has to go in and like your content, leave a comment. Likewise, now if my next person goes over 10 minutes later and they post something on Instagram and they go and tell the pod, hey, just posted. Now myself and the other 13 people in that pod have to go in as soon as possible, pretty much immediately, go in, like their post, leave a comment over 3 words. The idea is to build engagement, to build an initial boost of activity, to get that engagement up, to show that it's a popular post, it's a high-performing post, and that it will increase its production in terms of the ranking in the algorithm. That is what a pod essentially is. So before I move on, a bunch of comments came in. I'm going to come in and address all these comments and then move on. So I just wanted you guys to really understand that is what a pod is. If that's not clear, if you need more clarification, drop the comment as I'm going through these comments and we can clarify that more before I move into how or why these things work, don't work, etc. Okay, so SF Hilltop said, does the algorithm recognize messages sent through pods and downplay them? No. So all you're doing is telling your pod, hey, I have a post, but they're going to your post and physically commenting and liking your actual post. So Instagram has they probably know it's happening, but they have no way of tracking it in a way of like degrading that quality. So it's not going to negate that like or that comment. Radio Dawn over here on YouTube said you've explained it well. Thank you. I'm glad that made sense. We had Elliot Gonzalez and Lissy Wolf Pilates have joined us as well. James over in Singapore said, hi, Jen, good day to you. I have to listen to the replay. As always, I appreciate that, James. We always appreciate when you can come in and say hi and then come back and watch that replay. Lori Klassen said, I remember that back in the day with our blog posts, same concept. So yes, back in the day, there were a lot of groups. There's Triber. There was was it Biz Sugar, something like that. There's all these like blogging groups where same thing, you would post something and it was like you had your tribe of people on that blogging platform that would then share out your blog. They would leave a comment, they would upvote it, all these different things as a way to boost traction and get more rankings in the Google algorithm. Totally worked, by the way. Not gonna lie, all those things, Biz Sugar and Triber and all those things, totally work. Absolutely. I can probably attribute a good portion of the start of my blog success to using those types of tools. They absolutely worked. Triber was great for me because it was you found people in your similar space. So it wasn't just random people who were like sharing out a social media post. There were other social media people in the industry who were sharing it out and making it valuable to their audience. And likewise, I would share out their content. So I didn't have to have an RSS feed. I literally would just go into Triber and be like, great article, great article, great article. And I would just share them out. And I had all these great resources to share out all the time. And but there was no obligation. And this is what I want to clarify too. So when there was Triber and BizSugar and all those other things, there was no obligation. You didn't have to share every single post. You shared what was of value to you and your audience. Most of these pods require that everybody participate. And if you don't participate, they will kick you out of the pod. A lot of them are very, very restrictive in terms of how quickly you need to respond, when you need to respond, how you respond. There's a lot of limitations. It's very, very restrictive. Valerie Hatcher has joined us as well. Family Snack Nutrition said, how do you set up the pod and where? Sorry, I might have missed it. My toddler was talking to me. So anybody could essentially start a pod. It would be something you would usually typically start as a direct message feature on Instagram. So you would start a pod with some friends or people that you're connected with, and you'd say, invite anybody else to this group. And then you would send them an invitation to that direct message, add them to that direct message. And then once that direct message, which if the cap was 15, once it filled up, that pod was full. And then you could start another one. So anybody could start it. You could start them in Facebook groups and have hundreds of people, but that you would still push them to the Instagram post. So you would post your Instagram link, they would all go over, they'd go to Instagram, they'd like it, they leave a comment. So you can start a pod anywhere. This is anybody can do it. You can create the engagement pod in any capacity, wherever you can grab a group of people to come together and see those notifications. Mike said, is the idea of a pod to just be a temporary thing, to make an initial splash and then stop? So not usually. Most people who would join a pod would typically do it for a long-term commitment. So this is something they commit to for months, if not years. Some people have been in pods, the same pods, forever, it seems like. Some people would use it for an initial burst and then be like, you know what, I'm good, I'm where I needed to be, whatever, and then they'd back out. So it's kind of up to, the individual who's joining that pod. If you're the one starting a pod, chances are you're going to want to launch it and keep it going. And it's not necessarily something you're going to want to just stop doing because you're going to have all these people that you're essentially responsible for. But you could still turn around and be like, I'm done, wash your hands of it and walk away. So it's really up to you in terms of what you want that commitment to look like. We've also got Arnold's Guitars. Freeman, Bridget Loves Maui is here. For all those of you who have tuned in late, we are talking about social media pods. I just gave a quick overview of what a social media pod is. We're just answering some questions, and then we're going to dive into how they work, why they don't work, and it's going to get fun. So for those of you who have tuned in late, you're probably going to want to put in those headphones because when Mama gets amped up, the colorful language may come spewing. I tend to get a little bit heated over this topic. So right now we've just covered what a pod is. We haven't even got to the good stuff, you guys. Mike Lannon said, I feel like the major channels are going to ban this. Does it not go against the terms of service? No, it is not against any terms of service. Could they change that and add that to their terms of service? Absolutely. But Instagram is very, very aware that these pods are going on, and they've done nothing to mitigate this, limit it. It's not any sort of violation because you create a group of people that just go out and like people's content. They want people to go out and be engaged. So, hey, if a pod's going to keep people engaged on the platform, they're probably going to encourage it to that extent. They're not going to discourage it. But so they're not going to necessarily come around and say, you can't do this. It's against terms of service, any of that sort of thing. If anything, they're just going to let it be and let people do what they want to do because they want that type of engagement. If pods force engagement, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, whomever, they don't really care where it comes from. They want people on the platform and being engaged. Mike Lannon said, that being said, it sounds like a great idea. It does. Until we'll get into the why they don't work in some certain circumstances. So don't think this is a genius idea and go running off. Watch the rest of this video. Do not think that this is like, oh, great, pods are amazing, because there's a lot of nuances to this and why they can and cannot work in different circumstances. So don't run away just yet. Lori Klassen said, they'll kick you out and shame you. They will. They will. If you're not actively involved in the pod, they will. Like it's kind of crazy how it gets. And that's one of the things I want to talk about the kind of pros and cons. One of the cons is like how these groups usually interact. Atomic Child Design has joined us as well. Whitney Stone said, "How can we know a fake Instagram account?" Honestly, it's hard to tell sometimes. Sometimes it's really easy. Sometimes it's obvious because it's a weird username. They're following 400 people and have no followers. They have 0 posts. They have no bio. There's a lot of things that can instigate, hey, probably a fake account. But you don't always know. Sometimes they'll put up a bunch of photos that look totally legit. So you can't always know, but sometimes there's some pretty clear indicators. Bree Palmer said, "I'm exhausted. This is exhausting." Oh, it is exhausting. Like, trust me, this is, again, when you get into the pod universe, it gets exhausting. Bree Palmer said, "And I'm not even in one." Exactly. Jocelyn, hello, gorgeous. Good to see you here as well. Mike Lennon said, "Dun, dun, dun." And then they force you to eat Tide Pods. Okay, I'm done. No, please don't be done. I love it. I love the comic relief. Over here on YouTube, Radio Dawn said, "Last year, according to BuzzFeed, Facebook suspended several large groups for helping hundreds of thousands of people trick Instagram's algorithm into showing their posts to more people." He said, "I'm positive about the pod idea. I'm just letting you know what's happening." Yes. So, and that's, like I said, they're not really going to shut this stuff down because they want the engagement. So I think, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think the instance that Radio Dawn is referring to was more of, I mean, it was like a pod type environment, but it was not a small group environment. It was a massive, basically, like it was more like fake user type environment. So there were real people, but they were basically having people come in and create all of these different profiles, a lot of profiles. And so they were basically fake engaging. It was like a pod is like still me and 14 other human beings that go in and like manually like each other's content. It's not done through automation, and it's not done through fake accounts. I think, and I could be wrong, Dawn, but I think in that situation, there were people that were using it as more of like a trigger. And then they were sending that out to like a fake account bot type thing to go out and like all of those things. So it was a little bit more litigious, I guess, in terms of how that one actually broke the terms of service versus a pod, which does not break the terms of service. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about from the pod perspective as well, as the size and how that has an impact. So, okay, so I'm going to move on. So we talked about what pods are, kind of set that baseline for you guys. So the expectation, whether I'm trying to get my camera back in focus. It lost me. I'm all fuzzy. The expectation, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's LinkedIn, whatever that capacity is, the expectation is that by being in a pod, you are getting a boost in engagement. This is the concept, okay? So the idea is that you go in, you join a pod, you get more engagement. The algorithm thinks your content is better, therefore, and it will rank higher in people's feeds. This is the concept behind. This is the expectation. So people join these pods and figure, great, my engagement sucks, my reach is low, I'm going to join a pod, and all of a sudden I'm going to get way more reach, I'm going to get way more engagement, and it's my overnight success story. It's my overnight proof source. I'm going to have all these likes and all this engagement. Yeah. No, not how it works. In the example that Dawn brought up, there was a Facebook group and that literally had tons of people. So if you have hundreds of people in a pod and they all go in, let's just say you had 100 people. You had 100 people in a pod. That means every time you post something, you're guaranteed to get 100 likes, assuming everybody in that pod adheres to the rules that they have to like and engage every single piece of content. So you're guaranteed to get 100 likes. Well, that's not bad, depending on the platform. Facebook, that would be great. Instagram, that may not be so great. LinkedIn could be pretty good. You're guaranteed to get 100 likes. Okay. So you have some social proof. Okay. You have 100 comments. Even more valuable. But are you going to go and respond to those 100 comments? If 100 people in that giant pod all leave a comment on your post, are you going to engage with them? Are you going to respond to every single one? And if you are, think of that time consumption for you to go through and reply to every single one. If you don't reply to every single one, then you now look unresponsive. You look irresponsible as a social media account because you're not engaging with the people who are leaving comments on your post. So you look bad, even though you have all these comments and likes, you look bad because you can't possibly respond immediately to all 100 comments. I get a lot, 20, 30 comments on my post. I'm like, yes, that is hard to keep up with. That is a lot of content, especially people are asking questions or leaving validated comments. That's a lot to respond to. If you had to reply to 100 comments on every single post. Additionally, if you are adhering to the rules of that pod, that means you have to go and like every one of those 100 people's posts. I ain't got time for that shit in my life. Like, seriously, can you imagine if every time somebody posted in that 100 people, you had to log in immediately and like and leave a comment? Let's just say every one of those people posted once a day. That is 100 posts that you have to go into and like and leave a comment. Let's say by the time you get the notification, you go into Facebook or DMs or wherever it is, you get the notification, you read it, you go click on the link, you like their post, you leave a comment. What, maybe 30 seconds? Up to a minute? For easy math, let's say a minute. That's 100 minutes. That's literally almost 2 hours of your day is going to be spent, if you're in a pod with 100 people, that is 2 hours of your day that is going to be spent going in and liking and engaging with other people's content. What? So you can have a few extra likes on a post? Why? Do you care that much? Why is that so important to you? Because I can promise you, it's really not that valuable. And here's why it's not that valuable. This is where you have to understand how social media works. And I'm going to start with Instagram because, again, pods are common on Instagram. This is kind of where they flourished in terms of the definition of a pod. The Instagram algorithm doesn't give a fuck. Okay? I'm going to put that out there right now. Popularity is a minimal factor in the Instagram algorithm. I have talked repeatedly in numerous places about the Instagram algorithm and how it works. So you can go to my YouTube channel and go to Jenn's Trends on YouTube and go look for Instagram algorithm. I got videos that tell you all about it. I have blog posts at jenstrends.com that tell you all about how the Instagram algorithm works. It is based on individual interaction, not popularity. Facebook and LinkedIn, more of a preference on popularity. So I'm going to talk about those separately. But for Instagram pods, because all of these people, if you're in a pod with 15 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, I don't care how many people, it does not impact your presence in the feed of anybody else. Meaning, of those 15 people in that pod, every time you post something, they go in and like it and comment, you're guaranteed to show up at the top of their feed. So yay, it looks like it's working. It's not. You're ranking at the top of their feed because every time you post something, they engage. So therefore, the algorithm knows they must really like your content. So your content is automatically at the top of their feed when they log in. They don't even need a freaking notification because you're going to be at the top of their feed because they always interact with you. But if I'm not in that pod and I never see your content and I never interact with your content, then just because all the people in your pod liked it makes no difference to where you show up in my feed. None. It's like minimal. Like on a ranking scale, it's like second from the bottom. Popularity is not a significant factor on Instagram. So being in a pod does not help you on Instagram. Okay? Are we good? Got comments and questions. Okay. So we've got a bunch of things have gone on over here. We've got a bunch of people that have joined in. Renee Bowen, thank you so much for joining in. Mike Lannon said, I unfortunately had to put my little ones to bed, but totally be watching the replay. Thanks, Jen. Great. Yes, put the little ones to bed and come back and watch the replay with the headphones in so you don't wake them up with me because I already dropped some F-bombs and some bad words. SF Hilltop Stay said, not to mention a lot of those comments are like, great, nothing meaningful. And that's true. So the way pods were designed, especially from an Instagram perspective, was that you had to leave a comment of 3 or more words. And part of that was because it's false belief of the algorithm, which means nothing. You can leave a single word and it still matters, people. You don't need to leave multiple word comments. It's okay to leave a single word. But they don't want things like, like great or great photo. They want you to leave a meaningful conversation starter. So something like, oh, I love how you look in this photo, or that dress looks amazing on you, or oh, that looks like so much fun. They want you to leave meaningful comments. So that takes time to add those additional comments as the interaction. So yes, it's time consuming. Bree Palmer said, nah, boo. Toronto Dog Walking said, who has the time? And Ken Watson said, ain't nobody got time for that shit. Yes, exactly. It is a very time consuming process to be part of a pod. It's a huge time suck. Giuseppe said, can we go back and respond, or is it too late? So if you're talking in a pod, you can go back and respond anytime to any comment on social media at any time. It's never too late. There's no time restriction in terms of social media platforms. In terms of the pods, they want you to leave a comment immediately. Your response time doesn't really matter. You can go back and add comments afterwards and respond to people. But if you're responding to somebody 2 weeks after the fact or 2 months after the fact, that again still is like, dude, where have you been? Like, why didn't you show up 2 weeks ago? So you do want to usually be as responsive as possible, as quickly as possible. And Bree said, those peeps ain't ever buying nothing. Exactly. That's where we're going. Bridget Loves Maui said, word girl, no one got time for that. Tanya Smith Online said, hashtag realness. Ken Watson's got the popcorn poppin'. Giuseppe said, are you talking like a spaceship pod or a pea pod? I'd never heard of pods. I'm new. So more like a pea pod. Yeah, kind of a pod, like a pod of whales, like a group, a community, a fun little circle, something like that. I'm trying to talk about it. Said, seeing people recruiting pod members in groups get all excited about how their accounts are going to grow. Yeah, they don't do that. P-Day Pursuit has just waved and said they're here as well. So I wanted to point out to the point that Bree made. She said those peeps ain't ever buying anything anyways. And that's the thing. So the people in your pod are usually other people who are trying to sell something just like you. They're not your target audience. So all the engagement you're getting is from people who are not going to buy from you. They don't care about your product, your service, or what you're doing. They just want to grow their engagement and their audience as well. And they think that by doing this, they're going to get more reach and they're going to get more exposure and it's going to build their accounts and they're going to have all these great results. And it really isn't that, especially on Instagram, that's not how it works. And these people are not going to buy from you and it's not going to change your engagement. It's not going to change your reach. Over here on YouTube Radio, Don said, are you praising a post that doesn't deserve it? Yeah, a lot of times you are, because you're obligated to go in and leave a comment on something and say, oh, great photo, or looks like you're having a great time. But half the time you probably have no care in the world about what that content looks like. So it can be very frustrating because you're basically endorsing content that doesn't align with your brand. You're putting your name on somebody else's brand that you're saying you basically support, but you may not. It may not align with you. Like there's a lot of, things that you have to think about when you join these pods. And for when people do join pods, because I do want to say there are some good pods out there. Like to Evie's point, I think Evie said like 99% of them are crap, but there are a couple good ones out there. There are some good ones out there. And if you do decide to join a pod, you want to align yourself with people who have similar, values, similar business propositions, similar branding, similar clientele, or, something where there's an alignment. You don't want to if you're a faith-based business, you may not want to go and align with, certain types of organizations. I'm not going to throw out examples, but you may want to make sure you're aligned with other faith-based businesses in your pod. So there's things that you would want to do in order to make sure that you're not making your brand look bad by participating and liking all these other people's content and basically endorsing all of these things. Sarah Monroe said, sounds like the high school clique that has nothing better to do than hold each other to impossible standards. High five on that one, Sarah. I love you. Yes, that's exactly what it's like. Atomic Child Design said, so are you better off going and commenting on random people's posts? Right. No, not at all. You don't need to comment on anybody's posts. Commenting on other people's posts does nothing for you. Being engaged on social media helps you. Being there, being present, being actively liking people's posts, commenting on people's posts, friends, family, randoms, doesn't matter. If you're engaged, that's a good thing. You don't have to just go like a bunch of random people. That's not going to help you either. SF Health Upstate said, is there a Jen's Trends pod? No, there is not. There's Jen's Trends Facebook group if you go to Jen's Trends and social media, and you can get all the amazing things in the world you need, but there is no pod. And he SF Health Upstate knows that. We're good. That was a total joke for those of you who may not. I want to make sure that was really clear. That was total sarcasm at that point. So the expectation on Instagram is that you're going to get this reach and engagement. Doesn't happen because of the way Instagram works. Now, that being said, and the reason we're having this conversation today is because apparently pods are making a thing happen over on LinkedIn. Sorry, what? I mean, LinkedIn's always the last one to get everything, so it's not surprising that all of a sudden someone decided to start some pods over on LinkedIn. So it is something that came up in conversation, and I was like, oh, this deserves a live video. So this is why we're talking about it, because it actually launched over on LinkedIn. Not that it launched, but it started becoming prevalent. People are seeing these pods pop up over on LinkedIn. So Facebook and LinkedIn, do pods work? Yes. Unlike Instagram, the Instagram algorithm is not conducive to a pod, which the irony is, all of these things started as a primary, like kind of trend, like this whole, thing that everyone's talking about. It started on Instagram, which is the worst place to do them. That's the irony of the whole situation. Everyone's going, what, LinkedIn? And really? Yes, really. It's really happening on LinkedIn. Bree Palmer just said, oh, come on now. I know. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I can't deal with the world right now. So in the world of Facebook and the world of LinkedIn, pods actually can work. And why they can work is because those platforms put a bigger priority on popularity. Meaning, if a post is performing really well and getting a lot of engagement, it will rank higher in anybody's feed that is following that profile or that page. So yes, if you get this boost of engagement, and all of a sudden you have 100 people that like your post, then it's going to show up in more people's feeds. In theory. Here's why it doesn't really work. Again, to be in a pod with 100 people, there goes 2 hours a day of your life if everyone posts once a day. Some people post more than once a day, so then you're really screwed. So let's not even factor in the time suck to have 100 people. Most people probably going to have a pod of 10, 20, 30 people, and that is hard enough to manage in and of itself. So the first couple times, let's say you join a pod, the first couple times you post, all of a sudden you get those 20, 30, likes and comments, and your post looks super popular. Facebook and LinkedIn go, you got this. We're going to start showing your content to everybody. Great. You figured out the secret. You have all this great engagement. Your post must be super high quality, must be super valuable. We're going to show it to everybody. So you get these amazing reach, you get the engagement, the world is happy, you think you've hit the magic jackpot, you figured out the secrets, you have success written all over the wall. Okay. A week goes by, 2 weeks go by. All of your content continues to get the same engagement. So you have your normal people, who are normally liking and commenting. You got your pod people who are always commenting and liking. So now you've set a new standard of expectation. So your standard of expectation was here. This was what Facebook and LinkedIn deemed, an average post for you is here. So now all of a sudden you joined a pod and your engagement, you're up here, and they're like, damn, you really figured this out. So now it's like whenever you have these high performing posts, it's so much higher than your standard average. They get all this crazy good reach. Guess what happens when you keep getting all of this? This is your new standard of expectation. So guess what happens to your reach and your exposure? It's going to go down because now this is your standard of expectation. And it was getting the bumps because it was a popular post. Now it's not popular. Now this is a standard of expectation. And what happens when your standard of expectation is not met? What if you have a post that only performs at this level? You have a poor performing post. Either, your normal audience stops interacting with it, all your pod people do because they're obligated to do so. What if you leave the pod? What if, oh my God, you leave the pod and now you don't have any of that engagement and your bar just dropped down to here? What the fuck is going to happen to your reach? Gone, zero, done, because you went from a standard of expectation up here to a performance down here, and Facebook and LinkedIn are going to be like, damn, you really blew that one. We're not going to show it to anybody. So you give yourself a false reality, and the moment you can't adhere to that false reality, all of your content is going to drop exponentially in reach. And additionally, it's not quality content. You've now created this banner of expectation on average content. So when you do have high quality content, it doesn't have much higher to go because your pod is faking your average engagement. So high performing content that should be double your normal engagement isn't significantly higher. And if it's not significantly higher, it's not going to get the bump and reach that it would normally get just based on your normal audience. Okay? So a whole bunch of things have popped in. Everything's going on. But I wanted you to understand that, yes, in theory, pods would work on Facebook and LinkedIn. But in reality, they don't work and they will actually hurt you in the long run. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. Brandon Berkmeyer said, I tested one of those pay-to-play pods so I can write about my learnings. My post likes jumped from 1K to 2K, but nothing valuable and no effect on driving new views on my content, just as I thought. Can I please just give you a high five? Yes! Sure, you got more engagement. Not going to do anything for you, especially on Instagram. It's going to do nothing in terms of your views and exposure. Not going to make a difference. And great, you got 1,000 new likes. They going to buy from you? They going to do anything? No. Those people aren't going to necessarily want to buy. They're being there because they're part of a pod and they're obligated to be there because they want your like just as much as they're going to give you yours. Asha is here as well. She goes, oh yeah, that pod thing. No. Exactly. George DeManis finally made it. The dinner was delicious. Where's Ken? Ken is here. Ken's making dinner, I bet. Jamie Shine is here. SF Hilltop States said it's impossible to maintain that standard #buy. Exactly. George said, let's start a pod with Jen. Ken, George, you know I love you. But you ain't getting your gifts at Social Media Marketing World if you start this shit. I'm not even joking. I'm holding hostage over you. Ken said, dude, she'll kill us in San Diego. Tamara Beardsley, hello, sweetie. Good to see you as well. Blue Mountain Wife Styles has joined us as well. Tanya Smith Online said, that makes so much sense. If you can't keep up with the engagement level on your own, what's the point? Bushnell Media said, preach it, Jen. PDA Pursuit said, preach, sister. So, yes. So, okay. So I feel like, I told you what a pod was. And in theory, it's a good thing. Judy W. Fox is here with us as well. Reed Don said, meanwhile, I'm over on YouTube, just you, me, and the tumbleweeds. I know! No one watches live, not no one, but over here on Instagram is where everybody shows up, and over here on YouTube, we're just hanging out. Me and Don, yes, we got this. But yeah, so pods in general, the idea behind them is good. The cons to the pod are the time expectation and limitations that you have. They will kick you out if you do not participate according to their expectations, which are usually extremely limited. And like I said, in the long run, short run, they're really not actually helping you with any sort of long-term success. Now, can pods be good? Sure. If you make the best of any situation, then yes, they can be good. So why are pods good? Pods can be good if you have a relationship in that group that goes beyond just likes and comments. If you actually start having dialogue with the other people in your pod and you start building up a community and almost turn it into, a tribe of supporters and people who are actually interested in what you have to offer, and they actually listen to you and they actually have dialogue with you and you can create friendships, that is a great pod. And I know people who are in those types of pods that have made friendships, that have, other people in their pods, they actually buy from each other and they actually support each other. Kudos, great, amazing, good for you. But those are, again, usually smaller pods. We're talking 10 to 15 people. 10 to 15 people, not a huge time commitment, not a huge level of expectation. Also not huge results. Like, if you're getting 300 likes on a photo, is 10 really going to make a difference? No, not really. If you're getting 30 likes on a photo, is 10 going to make a difference? Yeah, it could. So it could be valuable to you to have that additional engagement. But you have to determine what that value is to you based on the time commitment, based on who's in that pod, based on, how you feel in that pod. A lot of people don't like them. They feel sleazy and slimy and restrictive and heavily mandated. It's not something that a lot of people like. But if you find a good pod and it's more like a tribe, it's more like your crew, your squad, then by all means, make the best of it. Enjoy it. Use it to your advantage, but realize the limitations and that your expectation for what you thought a pod was going to give you, that's not what it's giving you. It can absolutely give you other positive results, but that expectation up front is not really what's going to happen. So, George Bennett said, I like dolphin pods. Yes, exactly. Sarah Monroe said, YouTube comments aren't as fun. This is true. We get a lot of fun people over here on Instagram. Don's over here flooding my comments over here on YouTube. He's hanging out. He could use some partners over here. And he said his Instagram freezes too much. So it's harder for him to watch the video on Instagram because he doesn't have the high quality. So he watches over on YouTube where he gets better production value, essentially. So high five on that. That's why, and they live on YouTube, so everyone has it forever. Dolphin pods. I like whale pods too. I love you guys, the emojis. You guys are so fun. Judy said, and I agree, it's also possible to be in groups that are more like a mastermind and not a requirement to like or comment. And absolutely, that's the thing. Again, if you find a pod that is more about supporting each other and uplifting each other and, like you said, kind of masterminding and being there to, help each other, dude, go for it all day long. I'm never going to discourage that. I'm in multiple groups like that, whether it's over on Instagram, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's little Facebook groups, whether it's just Facebook chats, whether it's DMs over on Instagram. Like, legit take advantage of that if you're going to find a group of people that will support you in that capacity. But to have a real expectation of what that commitment looks like when you're in that type of group. George said, Peapods are delicious. Caribbean Club has joined us. Brandon said, don't be a pod person. Judy said, yes, a tribe. I love the friendships that have been built. And yes, 10 people that I care about, and we give each other feedback. Exactly. When it's positive interaction and it's not just go like my post, but it's actually dialogue and participation, that is a completely different story. Those I can absolutely get behind. Tron Dog Walking said, this is used by doggo influencers, squad pods. And yeah, a lot of, like I said, a lot of people use this, you guys. It's super common. Like, in the Instagram space, pods are legit. Like, they are everywhere. And you don't realize it because it's like this, underground thing where it all goes down in the DMs. So you don't know what's happening. But you'll see people and it's like they always have the same people commenting and it's always the same, like, over and over and over on every one of their posts. You're like, oh, you're totally in a pod. Like, it's so obvious because it's always the same people that commenting. Now, granted, I have people who come and comment on my stuff all the time on Instagram because they love my content and they come and leave a lot of comments, but it's not every single post. They may comment frequently, but it's not every single post and it's not the same people on every single post. So that's real engagement versus that forced engagement of being in a pod. Mary Jennings has joined us as well. Hello, sweetie. Good to see you. George Savannah said, fun fact, Mastermind was my DJ name. Oh, George, the things I learn about you, I swear. Bree Palmer said, Ken and George, y'all trolling. Bree, welcome to my Instagram lives. I love Ken. I love George. Full-blown members of the hashtag Gentourage. And yes, they're totally trolling the comments, which is why I'm skipping over them. They're talking about dinner. They're talking about the different pods. I'm like, you guys, I love you. Like, you're pure entertainment, but I'm seriously not reading these out loud. Brandon said, Jen, I want to be a P in your 360 pod. Come be a P in the 360 pod. 360marketingsquad.com. $5 a month. You get myself, Mike Alton, Stephanie Liu, and Amanda Robinson, and we will totally be your pod. We will be just not this kind of pod. We'll be a good pod. We'll be the people that give you all the things you need for social media marketing advice from the four of us. And it's an amazing group. So yes, come be in the 360 squad. Genealogy Girl Talks has joined us as well. Oh my God, Ken, I love you. George Madison said, no trolls. Ken and I are deep with Jen. Yes, they totally are. Genealogy said, blogger networks do the same. Yes, they absolutely do. And we talked at the beginning of the show about how back in the day, and I think you can still do it today, but back in the day, it was a bigger thing where there were like Triber, there were actual like these groups, like it was a website where you could go and like add your blog posts and have things shared out by other bloggers. And that was a very good way to grow. I totally grew my blog audience by doing those sorts of things. But again, that was in a completely different environment where you had the discretion to choose which posts to share and what not to share. It was something where it was communal. It was something where you could choose, that audience and be around it. And not only did that get your content out, but it did actually help with SEO rankings. Like there were proven results from using those types of things. Whereas using pods on social media, as we just went through, really don't actually work in the long run because of the way algorithms work on social media, unlike the way SEO rankings work. Hashtag Gentourage all the way. Sarah Monroe said, my friends made their own pod when I started a business page. They like my posts immediately. And again, Sarah, if they're your friends and they want to support you and they want to do that, by all means, just realize that it's not, in the long run, it's not doing anything. And these boosts, like I told you guys up front, it's great because it gets your content new exposure. When you're trying to build your page up out of nowhere, if you have people who are going to go in and like the comment, and then it's going to so if my friend likes your page, now I'm going to see it in my feed, it's new exposure. Absolutely, they can work, but it's a short term for Facebook and LinkedIn. You can't manage that long term because you set an unrealistic expectation of your standard of performance. Bree said, I love my 360 pod. Bree, we love you too. Ken said, hung out with one of the 360Ps today. You did. Ken Watson is in Houston. Amanda Robinson, hashtag digital nomad, is leaving Texas, heading for San Diego. We've got Social Media Marketing World in 2 weeks. So she's making her way out this way. But she was in Houston today and hung out with Ken Watson. So that was pretty cool. And Ken totally did have a donut. So Ken is like legit keto. He's doing amazing. And they went for donuts. And I was like, Ken, I don't feel like this is on the keto diet. I don't think this is part of the plan. And Sarah said, do you remember Google authorship? I do remember Google authorship. And even Facebook had authorship for a while as well. Isn't it funny how much things change, and things change so frequently that we forget that all of these things are actually happening. Radio Dawn said mastermind pods are much better. And yes, to the point that we were talking about over here about the masterminds and those sorts of things, that's a completely different environment. We can totally get behind those. They're not the manipulative pods that are meant to trick the algorithm. Okay, so we talked about all of what they work, why they don't work. Oh my God. And we're almost at the hour. Whew, I only had 1 point left on my sheet. I haven't even checked the clock to see where we're doing. So I'm good to know we have 10 minutes left. I'm not going to run out of time. Judy said, you are awesome. It always comes down to high quality content and keep posting. And I can't wait for Social Media Marketing World. Judy, come say hi at Social Media Marketing World. I speak on Friday. If you can come to my session, I would love to have you there, but definitely come say hi. Find me. I'll be around. I'll be in the networking plaza a lot of the time. But come say hi, please. So I did want to follow up basically to Judy's point and just say, when it comes to social media, guys, I don't care whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, when people talk about these pods, it is a trick. It is a manipulation meant to trick the algorithm. It's meant to basically falsify your engagement and your results. And that in the long run is never going to get you anywhere. It's really about being authentic and being real. And here's the thing. If you get 20 likes on a post on Instagram, if you get 2 likes on a post on Facebook, that's okay. Because everybody else is doing the same damn thing. Okay? Unless you have 1 million followers and you're some sort of flippin' celebrity, you are not getting tons of engagement. That is the reality. Facebook and Instagram are going to continue to see lower levels of engagement. Instagram has the highest engagement of any social media platform, and they used to average in the 3 to 5%. Now it's more like the 2 to 3%. Why? Because there's 1 billion monthly active users, and then there's a shitload of people out there doing a lot of content, and there's a lot of unactive people. So those 100, or those billion monthly active users, that means if they log in once a month, they're considered a monthly active user. They're not logging in necessarily every single day. So when you have 5,000 followers, all 5,000 of them are not looking at your content every single day. Some of them are only going to come in once a week, once every other week, once a month. So you're not getting the same level of participation as you got on Instagram when it had 500 million monthly active users and you had a more dedicated fan base. As your follower count grows, your engagement is going to drop. That is perfectly normal. When you have 100 followers who love you, live and die by you, they swear by everything you do, everyone likes your content, everyone leaves a comment because they love you so much. You have 100 followers. When you get to 1,000 followers, not all 1,000 of them are diehards. You still have the 100 diehards. You maybe have another 100 diehards. So you have 200 diehards, but 800 of them are not diehards. So your potential for that high level engagement is massively reduced because 80% of those followers are not going to like every single thing you post. They're not going to comment on every single thing you post. So your engagement levels drop as you grow. That's normal, okay? That's perfectly rational, and that's expected, to be real with you. As my follower counts grow, my engagement drops. That's normal. It sucks, but it's normal. And I'm talking engagement rate, not engagement value. So your likes should go up as your follower count goes up, but the ratio to which you have likes to followers will drop because you'll get more casual followers who are not liking as much content. So the best way to grow your audience is to be authentic, to be real, to keep talking to those people who are showing up every single day, the people who are leaving the comments in honest transparency with you, the people who are liking and commenting and loving you and supporting you and buying your stuff, because that's who you're talking to. You can talk all day and make the world happy, but if they ain't buying from you, why are you wasting your time? You have a job to do and you have a product or service to sell. So you need to be talking to the people who are going to buy from you. And if you have 50 clients, if you have 500 online customers, why on earth would you expect to have 10,000 followers? Why on earth would you expect to have 3,000 likes on a post or have huge share rates and go viral on Facebook? Why would that happen if you have a small shopping audience? Talk to your shopping audience. Don't worry about the vanity metrics. Don't worry about the likes and the comments and all of that. They're nice to have, yes, and they do help in the long run. But there is so much more to an organic social media strategy for results than just turning around and trying to trick the system into thinking you have all these likes and comments that are not real and that are not actually helping you build your business. Rant over. You're welcome, people. All right. So just to follow up on the comments. And so for those of you who did come in late, you're going to want to go back and watch the replay. I know a lot of you came in late, but the replay is up for 24 hours. It's also live over on YouTube and will be available on YouTube as soon as we hit the end record button. And you can learn all about what pods are, what the level of expectation is, and why they don't actually work. So George said he had to shower his smelly son. Bye, guys. Miss you. I will see you in 2 weeks, George. It's going to be amazing. Genealogy Girl Talk said, I love how real you are. Thank you. Mwah. I tell people all the time, you guys, I'm like, literally, this is Jenn Herman. On stage, on camera, in person, I am not that good of an actress. Who you see is what you get 24/7. This is just what I do. Bree Palmer said, I've never thought of it this way. Touche. Kim Watson said, preach. Brian Barefoot has joined us. Bree Palmer said, yes, girl. Ken Watson and SFL Top State both said, mic drop. Love it, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate all of you being here. As a quick reminder, the Jenn's Trends Instagram Intensive goes down next Friday, March 15th. I still have a few spots left. It is $500, 4 hours of intensive training with yours truly. It is meant to be your Instagram intensive. It's a small group cap. I am not having 20, 30 people in this group. It is a small group. There's only a few seats left. You can get in. We will spend those 4 hours talking advanced Instagram strategies. You will answer a questionnaire so that I know exactly who you are and where you're at and where your struggles are, so that I can cater that 4 hours of training to you and the other members of that group. So you will learn, you will get the answers that you want answered, as well as learn from everyone else in the group. It is going to be amazing. If you want to learn more, go to jenstrends.com/Instagram-intensive, or just go to jenstrends.com and just search for intensive. That page will pop up. All of the details are there, including the button to go ahead and register. Seriously, you guys, this is not for beginners course. It is for people who are comfortable on Instagram. But all that information is there. And if this is something you want to do, jump on it now, because literally it's next Friday. It's in a week and a half on the 15th. And I, like I said, only have a couple seats left. So once they're gone, they're gone. We will probably do another one in maybe late April, but I have not secured dates yet. So if you want to get in on this, now is the time to do it. Let me know if you have questions. Hit me up in a DM, whatever you need. For those of you, Dustin just showed up. Hey, Dustin, good to see you too. For those of you who just tuned in, again, come back and watch the replay. It was a great show. For those of you, who were here, who had fun, all the trolling, all the comments, you guys know I love you. You're all amazing. And I cannot wait to see all of you at Social Media Marketing World in 2 weeks. I will not be doing a live show in this capacity because I will be at Social Media Marketing World, but there will be lots going on. The stories are going to be blowing up in the house, you guys. I'm going to have so many things going on in the stories. And I will have live recaps from keynote sessions and opening sessions and the conference and all the things that will be going on. So lots happening in 2 weeks here on Instagram, just not a live show in its traditional capacity that we have over here. So in that way, I will see you in a month. All right, you guys, have a good night. And for those of you at Social Media Marketing World, come say hi. If you don't come say hi to me and you told me you were there, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to call you out. So come say hi. I love you guys. Bye. All right, Radio Dawn. Love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping us active over here on the YouTube side as well. Again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, if you guys liked this video, if this is something that you want to get more notifications about when I go live, which is every other week at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays, every other Wednesday, subscribe to this channel, hit that big button. That way you will get the notifications. Make sure you go and watch all the other videos. I talked about the Instagram algorithm. I have videos here on the channel for all that sort of information and tons more social media and Instagram topics. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave a comment down below this video with any thoughts about this topic as you watch the video. Bye, guys.